And click on technology. You'll find all the answers you need. Jim?
Thank you, Wendy. Dan's here now with a story about a Redskin who may be just as comfortable up on Capitol Hill as he is on FedEx Field, huh?
As we know, this is quite a rarity in the NFL. This really is a special guy. In the world of the NFL, one player's misfortune, often another player's opportunity. When Redskins defensive back Carlos Rogers got hurt, his backup Leigh Torrence knew it was his chance to show he belongs in the NFL. The third-year cornerback has certainly done that. And the interesting thing about Leigh Torrence is that he really belongs in a lot of places.
He's not the most recognizable Redskin on the roster, but Leigh Torrence might be the most interesting. His resume reads more like that of a political candidate than a football player. Number 29 was a two-time state tennis champion in high school. He's a Stanford graduate, potentially a future lawyer, a community activist, and a former congressional intern. After getting cut by his hometown Atlanta Falcons, he was almost a former football player as well.
I was looking at graduate programs thinking like, man, maybe I need to go back to school and get another degree and start with another phase of my life. And somewhere right towards the beginning of December, I had said that it just didn't feel right. And I knew I had some football left in me, so I kind of put those thoughts aside. And I tell you, a week later, the Redskins called, so I guess it was an affirmation of those feelings that I had, that there was some more football left for me.
Torrence signed with the Skins for the final game of last season and earned a roster spot this year with his stellar play on special teams. Now, because of injuries, Torrence has become a fixture in the secondary, where he's seeing his most extensive action of his NFL career. His welcome to the NFL moment might have been this play against the Patriots when he was matched up against Randy Moss.
Going against him, I guess it's a learning experience as a young corner. Like a play like that, you got to kind of expect him to put his hands on you, and I definitely wish I could have it over again to kind of fight back against him. But, you know, I guess I'm not the first person that he's done that to, and probably won't be the last.
Leigh Torrence still working to become an impact player at cornerback on the NFL level. To do that, sometimes he will call on his experience as an elite high school tennis player. He equates the one-on-one nature of tennis to man-to-man coverage in football. Torrence was actually so good at tennis as a youngster, he nearly gave up football in high school.
It just was, I guess, my first love, and I was having some success there, and I had got to a point where I was like, I got to go either way. And I had actually chosen to go and play tennis, and one of my football coaches called me up and said, well, we think you're making a mistake. You might be able to do some things in football. They moved me to running back, and I guess the rest is history.
The Redskins defensive back always planning for the future. Recently, Leigh paid a visit to the Capitol Hill offices of Georgia Congressman Sanford Bishop. It was his home away from home last summer. Leigh is one of only a handful of NFL players who have actually been congressional interns. Torrence did everything from answer the phones and attend meetings to handing out Georgia peanuts and stock the office fridge with sodas. Just a regular intern for the 2nd Congressional District of Georgia. And according to the staff, he was one of their best. It was an experience that Leigh will never forget.
Yeah, Congressman sat down with me on many occasions just to talk about life, or even just he would ask me about certain issues, how I felt, just to get my opinion. It's good to see how a man in that position has to think through all sides of an issue. You can't just think from their own perspective. You got to think of how's this going to affect a single mother, or how's this going to affect a family of 10.
He was always on time, disciplined, had a great deal of insight, very, very outstanding, upcoming young man, and I predict great things for him.
A ringing endorsement from Congress. Redskins defensive back Leigh Torrence making a name for himself on and off the field.
Had the chance to play golf with Leigh Torrence over the summer. He's still working on his golf game. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a great golfer in a couple
Bet
years.
you're still working on your tennis game.
You were chasing him down, though.
He said,
you were staying in there.
He said, Dan, you got to work on that backhand. That's pretty terrible. He had a career-high 8 tackles against the Giants in his last game. He is playing very, very good football.
Good for him, and he looks good in that congressman's office as well.
That he does.
Yeah.
Smart kid.
Good for him. Yeah, sounds like it.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep.
Still to come on News 4 or 5, we're going to take a look at an innovative technique that's being used to treat depression.
Plus, we're going to get the latest check on the forecast from Bob, so stay with us.